Despite all the years after VR has come out, it still hasn't really taken off. Of course, some games have blown up, but it hasn't made an insane amount of money or completely revolutionized or changed the gaming industry. That being said, there's still obviously some great investments to be made there. There's still ways to make money, and it's still going to eventually make some money once they work through some kinks. So today we're going to check out a video on 5 ways that VR could possibly make you a millionaire.
VR can make you a millionaire. Well, let me explain. Rewind to the year 1994. We had Forrest Gump, Power Rangers, and the birth of the PlayStation. Nobody knew back then, but we were witnessing one of the biggest money-making opportunities in their lifetime. That, of course, was the birth of the World Wide Web, aka the internet. Of course, nobody knew the scale of what was to come. The internet took over the world.
Before it even gets there, like VR is still in such an early state in its technology, despite all the new iterations and all the leaps and bounds they made. It's still so early. And honestly, once they get past like the dizziness, right? Because if you've ever used VR, you get real dizzy and you have to get something called your VR legs in order to get comfortable in the VR space. But once they make it like, you know, basically AR glasses is VR. I know it's AR, but it's pretty much VR. Once it gets to the point where, you know, it's really good, there's going to be money to be made there.
There are only a handful of opportunities we get in our lifetime to capitalize on technologies and innovations that could make us financially free. The mobile revolution or the birth of cryptocurrency are a few. VR is moving in a direction where it's entering this phase of innovation. Don't believe me? Then listen to this.
We want to get 1 billion people in virtual reality.
Say what?
Companies like Apple and Meta, two of the biggest tech companies, are pushing the development of virtual devices for one reason and one reason only. They know
There are a lot of rumors that Apple might have stopped the Apple Vision, that it might be dead. They might have just killed the project. And Apple likes to come back after things are done. It's honestly not in their character anymore for them to do such an experimental product. So they're eventually they'll be in it. You know, eventually, you know, sure, they'll go full scale with AR. You know, I'm sure they'll come out with some Apple glasses. But as of right now, they're taking the back seat until another company makes more money with it, and then they're probably just going to steal their technology and bring it back there.
this is the next computational platform. I'd put good money on AR glasses replacing every smartphone out there within the next 10 to 15 years. And that gives us an incredible opportunity to make our fortune. So I've come up with 5 ways you can make your fortune with VR and AR so we can capitalize on the exponentials to come. Number 5. This is the most obvious of the 5, and that's game or app development. The birth of traditional games consoles brought with it some of the most well-known studios out there. Activision, Bethesda are a few names. At one point in time, they were just as small as some of the VR developers today. Starting now will give you a tactical advantage over future competition. You don't need to go to college or university to learn. You just need your own time and effort to create a project you can be proud of. Unity and Unreal Engine are great programs to get you started. YouTube is an endless source of educational content. I studied game design for 3 years, and at the end of the day, YouTube was the platform that provided the most value, not college or university. Just looking at the stats of current VR games and their profits, such as Beat Saber making over 100 million in the last year. And to think, this is just the beginning. Number 4. Now this has massive
That's
potential
crazy,
to be a
that's
billion
still
dollar
making that
industry
much.
in itself. Remember how Zuckerberg and Tim Cook always go on about how great AR will be, and how everyone will one day own their own pair of augmented reality glasses? Well, there is one way you can absolutely capitalize on this, and that's advertisement. Traditional signage sits on a 2D plane, but in the future, companies and shops will 100% compete for augmented real estate. The shops with the best animated logos and designs will stand out from the rest. We've all seen those dystopia movies where holograms are projected out of the shops. This is our future. Human attention is the most valuable monetizable asset, and if you can get good at creating eye
It's a little funny that he's advertising like this extremely dystopian concept that's only portrayed in those movies as being a bad thing, annoying thing that nobody would want. But it's definitely going to be a moneymaker, and somebody's got to make it.
catching artwork, you'll be a league ahead when the holograms start coming. Programs like Photoshop or Blender are great 2D and 3D pieces of software, and when the time is here, you'll be ready to get your AR signage company to the front. Number 3. When people say this word I'm about to say, it's usually followed by an eye roll. But hear me out. NFTs have taken over briefly when people made an insane amount of money for reasons unknown. But, and this is a big but, VR and AR is the only place, and I repeat, the only place, NFTs have viability. If suddenly you're spending more time in a digital environment than your physical, you're going to want to fill that space with artwork. You'll know which artwork is legit and which is fake, so it has similar viewing pleasure as real artwork in the digital space. So by having a good
That is
NFT
the worst justification. Maybe this dude's about to try to sell us an NFT or a crypto scam. That is the worst justification for wanting artwork in a digital space I've ever heard. Oh, when you get art in your digital space, you want to know that it's the real art, so it can be the highest quality. There will be no difference in the PNG quality from the person who pirated it or copied it or screenshotted it and the person who paid for the NFT to have it in their virtual space. Unless you're in a locked down virtual space that's not open source and doesn't allow you to add artwork to your own PNGs from the outside world, ultimately defeating the infinite resource potentiality that VR and AR offers us. Nobody cares about having true artwork. Oh yes, come into my virtual space. You see that right there? That is a real NFT. That's one of the real one of those the monkeys that they have. That's a real one right there. Yes, yes, it's real. Oh yes, that's an authentic NFT PNG created by ChatGPT from the year 2015. It's not fake. It's real. Yeah, yeah. You can tell because nobody cares about that. This is the worst. There were so many ways that NFTs can have value, right? But that is one of the worst ways to try and defend or push for it I've heard.
Portfolio, you stand a chance of that value skyrocketing when the virtual NFT viability becomes a reality. Number 2. Solving problems that don't exist. Sounds difficult, right? But the thing is, we can actually predict the future. We know people are going to be spending longer inside virtual environments. We know people are going to be working in them. We know that a large portion of people will suddenly be wearing AR glasses. So theoretically, we can start to produce products for problems that will start to arise. First example, batteries of AR devices. Won't last all day, so you could create a solution. Or drinking in VR takes you out of the immersion, takes you out of your workspace, so we could create a solution. There are endless amounts of ideas, from glasses cleaners to VR fans, to keep you cool. Any idea that you come up with today will have massive use case and customer base within the next 10 years, especially in AR. Thing is, we're not talking about millions of potential customers here. According to tech giants, we are talking billions. And finally, the one I'm most personally excited about, and this has the most potential in my opinion, and that's metaverse assets. Remember in Ready Player One where Wade's flicking through different hairstyles? This is what I'm talking about. Customizability will be huge in VR and AR. People already spend a fortune for custom skins on games, and when the metaverse is here, this will be bigger than ever. Horizon Worlds has already begun implementing this. Zuckerberg talks about a creator economy inside the metaverse, where people like you can create assets and sell them to the users. Imagine being the Nike or Gucci of the metaverse. No need to worry about inventory, just an endless supply of digital assets to be purchased. If you're out in front in this department, you could become one of the first metaverse millionaires in no time. Some have been invited to create digital assets within Horizon Worlds today, so keep an eye out for when this becomes public, so you can be ahead of the game. Also, Blender would be a great piece of software to create these assets for other potential pieces of the metaverse. I really hope this video inspired you to start your journey into the metaverse.
Okay. Some pretty good ideas, right? But I don't know. He didn't hit the mark on all of them for me. The metaverse selling assets definitely a thing, and his second to last idea of you solving problems that are going to exist already. There is a value there, right? The thing is, though, you have to come up with and accurately predict those problems, or else you'll be spending time on a startup that doesn't come to fruition because either it takes too long for these products to actually come out or be real, or people to actually adapt to VR to the extent that we expect. Or two, a problem doesn't actually exist, or Meta themselves, or one of the companies releasing the VR headset solves it themselves. Either of these can take you out completely, and of course, every business is a gamble, right? A roll, unless you're some scammy dropshipper. But there's a lot of risk with you potentially spending a lot of time if this doesn't blow up like the way that it should, or like the way that we're expecting, or if they take care of it themselves, or if it's not actually a problem that people need fixed. Anyway, have a good